Welcome back to the Mina and I Show featuring Lenny, Wildcard Recap Edition. Domonique Foxworth is here, as always, of the Domonique Foxworth Show, to join me to break down all the weekend's wildcard games. We're going to go in reverse chronological order, so we're going to start with last night's massacre in Pittsburgh. Domonique, before we started recording, you said you were watching the show and thinking to yourself, is that still legal? Which is just such a great encapsulation of the Texans defense. Is that still legal?
It's like they don't let us play defense like that anymore is what I was thinking. But I watched the plays, like nobody broke any rule. It's just no one plays that violently. And as much as I love like breaking down scheme and pointing out new wrinkles and whatever, that's one of the coolest things about the Texans defenses. It's like those old school Seahawks defenses that I'm sure you love. Like, you know what we're gonna do. We are just gonna do it so good that you can't beat.
Yeah. It's funny because the Texans and you and I talked about how like the Texans and Seahawks are sort of like the NFC, AFC version of each other. I don't think that was disabused last night, including the offense, which we'll get to. But yeah, they just line them up and kick ass. I'm trying to think of like who our producer for NFL Live was like, was any of the players stand out to you? And I was like, well, obviously Anderson Jr. and Hunter were crazy. Yeah. I would say Petrie was the one where I was like, you were playing like you have. Greg Rosenthal, friend of the show, had a great post. I saw it on Blue Sky where he said Jalen Petrie is single-handedly making the Guardian cap look cool. Like, he really, I mean, he's like flying around like Mighty Mouse. Just so throwback. Such a throwback player.
I knew you were going to say that name because that was the name that I texted to most people. Like, he's everywhere. And it's just
where's Mike? I didn't get any text.
Yeah, I didn't text you because you were too busy doing something else more important and cool, like actually being at the game. What am I going to text you while you're sitting on the sideline?
I left before the game to come to the East Coast. Yeah, but it was cold there. We were there. Yeah,
it looked cold.
All right. I mean, there's really not even that much to say about the Texans defense against the Steelers offense. It played out pretty much like everybody thought it would play out. The thing that jumped out to me, just looking back at some of the numbers from the game, was that Aaron Rodgers had over 10 yards on average to go on third down. It's just not how you want to live against this defense. And it's not how the Steelers want to or can live generally, right? This is a team that all year long the offense won running the football, breaking tackles, turning short passes into intermediate ones, and the Texans just don't let you do that. It was always going to be a challenging matchup. Like, is there any world in which you feel like this could have gone differently on that side of the ball?
I mean, no, because C.J. Stroud put the ball on the ground 5 times. Like, that's the world that you feel like it's going to go differently, is they not only have turnovers, but have fumbles that should kill the drives, but aren't killing the drives enough. And I guess they could have not. Sheldon Rankin could have been tackled, and they held him to a field goal. But there's of course, it's the NFL. Everyone can win. There's a way that the Texans could, or that the Steelers could win, but it's really hard to imagine given how poorly the Texans played on offense. They still won with Nico Collins missing a bunch of that game with a concussion.
Yeah, the formula would have been turnovers, and then I guess, like, because we're going to talk about the Texans defense, obviously, in the divisional preview, and I was watching them thinking, my mind was immediately spinning to, like, where are they weak? What can you do? And there are things, and I'll get to that. They're just not things Pittsburgh could do this year. I mean, they're not, same with Seattle. They're not impossible to solve. Quarterback mobility is a big thing against the Texans defense, but obviously Pittsburgh didn't have that, which sort of brings, again, we don't have to spend time analyzing the offense. This is the offense that we saw for most of the season. There were flashes where against inferior defenses, they were able to move the ball downfield a bit. Rodgers had better games. Now they're in a tough spot, right? Next year. I actually think we'll get to the defense, but 2 things everyone, the immediate thought after. Do you keep Tomlin? And does Rodgers come back? Probably going to be yes, no, would be my guess, Domonique.
Yeah.
But is that the right, or both? Is that correct for both?
I mean, I think it's hard to make an argument to stick with Rodgers. And if you're going to stick with Rodgers, then you absolutely are going to stick with Tomlin. The argument for getting rid of Tomlin is a harder one for me to get on board with because it doesn't feel like it's the argument is generally just like, because we haven't had the success we expected. It's not because we need to get better in this area, which, like, of course you can get better, but it feels as if the issue has not been Mike Tomlin as much as it's been like we can't find consistent offense, which I guess you could argue is about his coordinator selection and roster moves, but it feels a lot easier or it seems a lot clearer that Aaron Rodgers isn't the long-term answer than it is that Mike Tomlin isn't.
Yeah, so there's a world in which I could see Rodgers, if he was in like a great ecosystem with a great offensive line, still be productive. Right. But like, if you're that team, why would you go that route unless you have no other options? As far as Tomlin goes, look, there's things you can like. I think he's tends to be overly conservative in his game management. The roster stuff is tricky because we don't know, like, in terms of like, how big of a hand does he have in some of the choices that they make in terms of the players? Obviously, the coordinators, and I don't think Arthur Smith called a particularly great game, but pretty hamstrung there. So, but like they're the Pittsburgh Steelers, when it comes up, Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game since, I think the last one I saw the Obama administration. I think people are throwing out some mid-2000s references. I mean, they just haven't gotten the quarterback right for years, right? So, and there's no, like, bringing in a head coach doesn't mean you're going to get the quarterback right. I think, though, what you have to figure out is, does Tomlin align with your plan at quarterback? Like, if you're going to go for rookies and, not, because to me, the approach that they have taken to the position, I mean, they tried to draft Kenny Pickett. Otherwise, they've gone the veteran route. That feels like, is that more about Mike Tomlin and what he wants, or is that just the organization constantly being stuck in limbo? I don't really think there's a good answer there for you, and I don't think, moving on from him is obvious, but I also don't think it would be crazy given the playoff track record.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. It feels a lot more difficult you can imagine a scenario much more differently if they had got the quarterback position right. You can also imagine that going forward, if you're going a young direction, that it would make sense to bring in someone else and kind of start over. I think the hard part about having this conversation, particularly with any coach like this that's had success and still seems capable, is the things that should decide whether he stays or goes are things that we have very little insight on. Is like, it's around the building stuff. We have the outside-facing behavior that seems like everyone still is on board. But it's like, to your point, the decision-making, like, is he part of the reason why we haven't, like, been able to develop an answer at the quarterback situation? And is there some, like, cultural block? Is there growth being inhibited from people around? Like, it's all things that, is there some connection loss? He doesn't have like a star player in the way that Harbaugh did in Baltimore. Like, that's a question. It's like, I don't know. I'm not in the building every day, and I'm not a reporter who's calling around asking. So, like, that's the big question, and it's hard to answer.
It does seem like the GM should be getting more smoke when it comes to the right. Like, I mean, and also I think the roster overall. We saw like how it was literally DK or nothing, and you saw Pickens thrive elsewhere. His draft record is not bad, though. I will say, like, they have hit on a lot of players, I think, on the offensive line, and in particular. And, like Derek Harmon looks good. Joey Porter Jr. has been great. Yeah. So that's also not – it's literally – I think, to put a bow on it before I swear we'll move on, the Pittsburgh Steelers are an illustration of like how life in the NFL is basically impossible if you can't get quarterback right? And it's so hard, and they just haven't, and it's hard to find who to blame exactly. Other than I guess the GM is probably the most obvious one. Okay, so on the other side, I think that the question coming out of this is, we see that the Texans have an obvious championship D. Mm-hmm. Is C.J. Stroud going to hold them back, right, from making it to the Super Bowl and winning it? Because he tried. But Domonique, I would argue, okay, let me make it is a little bit of a defensive Stroud. So on one hand, in this game, he had some really dumb bozo turnovers, right? And you're watching, you're like, what are you do? Like, I don't know what the hell was going on with the snaps, but then him trying to make some crazy, terrible decision making. On the other hand, I just looked this up. He had the third highest dropback success rate of the weekend and hit on a bunch of really nice throws on third down. So it was kind of a weird game from him because while he was, he made some really devastating negative plays, he also made some really impressive plays that if you're a Texans fan, you can come away with this feeling where like, at least our quarterback is capable of that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that's been with C.J. Stroud and its offense, frankly, all season long. And I think that Chargers game is kind of one of the illustrations of it, where it's like, oh, we can have two enormous bomb plays against a defense that doesn't give those up and then just completely disappear. It's the hit or miss of it. And I think that's what's so enticing about this team is you have a quarterback who can play high-level quarterback. Has he done it for a long enough stretch? Even in his rookie year when we loved him, it was about what we thought it could become. And based on what we saw, it wasn't about him. He didn't come in the league playing top of the league quarterback immediately. He was making top of the league throws, but all of it together was like, oh, this is great. This is amazing for a rookie year. It wasn't like Jaden Daniels, whose rookie year was like, oh no, this is everything. We saw it all. And he just hasn't quite developed that consistency that we want for the quarterback play. And then as you can point to the stuff around him that's made it difficult. But when I go through this, we prepare for all of this stuff. You just recognize that this year is unique in how flawed all these teams are.
Yeah.
And if you have a quarterback that can reach the high end, and you have a defense that is you're never gonna be out of any game, it has to be exciting for Texans fans.
I thought it was also encouraging that they ran the ball well. The Steelers' run defense had kind of improved over the course of the season, but I mean, Woody Marks and Nick Chubb combined 170 yards, decent success rate. And it felt like when you're watching them, every time they wanted 5-6 yards, they were able to consistently. That's a big deal, right? Like this is, especially if you end up, obviously you're facing the Patriots in the next round, which the run defense, I will say, looked a lot better. But that's something you want to be able to do. And then especially if you end up going against the Bills, who we're going to talk about. It's always the thing. So, it's a hard one because I think if you just took out those insane fumbles and bad plays, he actually was pretty like on third down. CJ Stroud was 8 for 12 for 152 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great game. If you take this out, is like a fraught place to be, except for when the things that you're taking out are absurd. So absurd. He doesn't have like a history of snap fumbles. He doesn't have a history of like flea flicker, so that's like I can get behind the concept that like he's actually going to be a lot better at that. It's not like with like Caleb where we're like, if you just take care of those early down accuracy things, like nah, that's like kind of always been a thing.
Christian Kirk turned back the clock.
Oh yeah.
It's a great weekend for turning back the clock. I think they liked the matchup on the Eccles, the Steelers. They definitely liked it because
you weren't on First Take this morning, were you?
Mm-mm. Oh,
okay.
I saw the clip. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I'll wait.
All my group chats have sent me. Yeah. I think that's had a hit rate on the group chats of like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Like CJ on third down.
Yeah, it crosses over a bunch of anyway.
It really does. All right. Well, the Texans advance. Okay, Steelers fans, listen to this because I feel like I've picked against them a lot this year because of Rodgers and hasn't always been popular. It is a good situation for a quarterback. Like, all things considered, I know this. I always say after playing the Texans, don't overrate any conclusions. It's a good young offensive line. Obviously, you have DK. I think you're going to need to add another skill player, but like it is a good spot. If they really are a quarterback away. It feels like next year. There's
what
some
do you
things
think about the future of that defense, though? Like that's.
Yeah, the pass rush is. I know
Highsmith and
Herbig,
and Sawyer seems like he's gonna be a contributor, but like
Yeah,
TJ.
he made a great play in this game. He was the one who
that
blew up the
flea
flea
flicker.
flicker. Yeah.
That was incredible.
Benton's been really good. But, Cam Ward's getting
Yeah.
those. Cam Hayward, pardon me.
Hayward,
And he was
Cam
amazing
Hayward
this year.
And Jalen. Also, I liked this season for Jalen. I'm not sure how people
Ramsey,
feel about. Yeah, he moved to
He's
safety.
a good safety.
That's what I was. He's always been a bigger corner and physical guy, and he's awesome. I think, but we'll see what the future holds for this defense because they weren't great, but they're super expensive, and I think some decisions are going to have to be made over there.
All right. It's funny because we're working backwards. The good games were at the beginning. Chargers, Pats.
We can go whatever order you want, man. We don't
Nah. You've seen that meme that's like the horse drawing that starts out. It's like really good on one side and then gets worse. And that was Wild Card Weekend because it started so strong. So my main takeaway from Chargers Pats that I would like to share with you is I came away from this game much more impressed by the Patriots defense than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
That was the biggest surprise and that was my biggest concern about New England going into the postseason. You and I did our rankings. I was like, I just don't think this defense has it, right? Yeah. And obviously the Chargers offense has not been good all year long, and they are down to, I'm blocking out there, right? Yeah. But and the passing game is not difficult to stop per se. But I thought you saw some real genuine creativity on the back end and in the pressures, actually. And then I think the return of a bunch of players, it made a big difference. Milton Williams, obviously, Spillane. They didn't have Tonga in this game, and they were still decent against the run, which was really impressive. That was my biggest concern. So I think I would start there. Okay, that now I'm starting to feel better about the Patriots because it felt like a very lopsided team before this.
And you think the offense will be fine? This is rookie quarterback jitters, or I guess you didn't have as much concern for the offense as you did for the defense. So you're coming out of that game.
That was my point. Yeah. And it was a tough. The Chargers defense is a really tough matchup. Yeah. I think I saw somewhere Jesse Minter, who's your defensive coordinator, is interviewing at every single team, and it's funny because a lot of the guys coaching this weekend are in the cycle, right? And I thought he made a real good case for himself because I thought they were outstanding. And it was a great chess match. I think May had some jitters, had some misses, but you saw him and Josh McDaniels as well, I think, over the course of the game kind of solve the defense in a way that if I'm a Pats fan, I find encouraging. I thought when they started the stuff where, and this is something they've been doing, but the 6 offensive linemen, 2 back, when they were getting their bigger bodies on the field and forcing the Chargers to play base defense. I just pulled this for NFL Live. May versus when they got the Chargers to play, who don't love to play base. When they got them to play base, Drake May went 7 for 8 for 97 yards and a touchdown. That was, and you remember both his shots were out of those 6 offensive line looks. So anyways, I don't want to get too granular about it. My point is just I felt like the offense solved it as the time went on, but I didn't think the defense would look this good.
They got to go to Houston, which I guess we shouldn't roll. You'll do a whole preview show. You'll be ready for that. But that's in the back of all of our minds as we're watching these games and thinking about how to evaluate them is who's the next step and do they match up well and can they make plays against them? So we'll see how it turns out for them. But I think, ultimately it's everyone in this, as we've said time and time again, everyone has flaws. And I think the Patriots, where they were weak on defense, they seemed a lot better. And where their strength is the quarterback, who played not his best game in his first playoff appearance, and as Charlie from my show will point out, that this is his first big game of his life, including college and high school, because he went to a smaller high school and UNC in college. So we'll see. He'll be better in the second game, even though it's against a tougher team. But I think, you find a way to get a win in the playoffs and no major injuries. They actually are getting guys back. It has to feel pretty good for them going forward.
Christian Gonzalez without the concussion. He was really good in this game, too. So that's one to watch, especially with Nico Collins. Well, he also got hurt, too, so we'll see.
Yeah, they got the same thing, right?
Injury, yeah, exactly. Back to the quarterback, Drake May. Yeah, I think what I liked about this was even though he was a little jumpy early on and had some misses, he didn't panic and he got better as the game went on. I think that's really encouraging, right? And also, I talked about like how Josh McDaniels helped solve some of the problems. Like the left side of the Patriots offensive line was having a lot of trouble with pressure, right? So he found ways to help them and get the matchups he wanted. I thought Drake himself also showed that problem-solving ability, using his legs, which is a weakness of this Chargers defense. He scrambled. He had the huge scramble, but that's going to be big against Houston. Checking it down to the backs. Again, the Chargers defense, the way they were playing, there was they really make you work for it, right? It's a lot of putting a roof on you, and he made the right decision most of the time, and then he took the shots when they were available to him. So I feel encouraged is all I'll say. I thought it was an encouraging game.
And that to me is also about the defense. It's you start out jumpy and jittery, and the other team scores a touchdown. The jumps and the jitters don't go away. The idea that the defense played as well as they did to buy him the time that he needed, that he never really felt under pressure, pressing. I got to make something happen.
Yes.
I think that's scary for a young player in that situation. The defense was all right, we'll be here. Just don't blow it. Don't throw a pick six. We'll be here. We'll keep you around.
Athleticism matters so much in these games, man. Just his ability to scramble in some of those situations. And because, the Patriots are better against zone than man for obvious reasons, I suppose. Well, they're pass catch. They don't, Yeah. And the fact, though, that he can punish you. Well, Kayshon Boutte was really good in this game, though.
I agree.
Yeah, right? Yeah. But the fact that May can punish you when you turn your back on him. I mean, how many times in the playoffs you see Patrick Mahomes on third down with those scrambles? It's a big deal. Him and Josh.
It's a bigger deal when you can go for 30.
Yeah, not just 8. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of quarterbacks you get us the first down, keep it going. That's awesome, but it's nice when you're I can give you an explosive with my legs.
There were a lot of moments too during this postseason where I was watching not quarterbacks who don't scramble and screaming, just run, like Jordan Love, who I love, who was amazing in that game. Obviously, Matthew Stafford's not going to run, but there were first down. It is a really big deal.
Jordan Love has the athleticism, I think, to do more than he does with his legs. Matthew Stafford, nah. Sam Darnold, probably not. And obviously Aaron Rodgers, that was a problem. The biggest problem to go back to that game for 1 second, but one of the things about what?
Chargers just fired Greg Roman. Perfect timing because we're talking about it, this game.
Well timed.
Yeah. You hit what your Patriots point, and then we'll flip to the Chargers.
No, I mean, it wasn't a Patriots point. It was a running quarterback's point as much as I'm watching the pass rushers from the Texans. And one thing about having an athletic quarterback is it takes away the inside move for pass rushers. If we're going to rush forward, they're so unlikely to take an inside move to give you the edge. And I'm watching those pass rushers. It puts the tackles on so much more of an island because, Danielle Hunter does not give a damn if he gives Aaron Rodgers the edge. And so I have a two-way go, a three-way go, because we saw that one sack when they just pushed everybody onto Aaron Rodgers. It just makes it really hard. It's one of the things that I think you don't take into account about having a quarterback who can run a little bit. Anyway, Greg Roman.
I mean, the big Caleb throw happens because Rashawn Gary inexplicably goes inside, right? So it's not just scrambling, it's the playmaking.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I think, outside of Stafford, Stroud isn't a prolific runner. He can and will, but Darnold's I would put in the same bucket as Stroud. He can. He's capable of it. It's a pretty mobile field. Okay, so Greg Roman was fired. Not surprising. I think after the game, they were asked. Harbaugh was asked about it and said, "Now's not the time," which usually means it's a done deal.
Yeah.
I guess the way I'll phrase it to you is this, because I don't think anyone's going to be fighting this one or protesting. Do you think there's anything the Chargers, because it was a dismal performance from the Chargers. The Chargers defense I thought was really good and did their best. The Chargers offense was pretty bad in this, and they were bad in a number of ways. Obviously, the offensive line is what it is. Herbert was simultaneously under siege, but then also didn't hit some throws. It was one of those, how do we even describe, you know what I mean? Do you think there's anything Greg Roman could have done differently?
I mean, Greg Roman's reputation is not one as like offensive innovator. So like I'm not surprised that and it's a hard place to be in for anyone who had as many injuries as they had, but I'm not surprised that as a result of it, he didn't have like the best answers. I don't know, off the top of my head, like I think that you could probably try to find ways to take pressure off the offensive line with design quarterback runs, but you have a quarterback who has a broken hand. Sorry, go ahead.
No. You talk about taking pressure off the offensive line. The way Land McConkey was used this year was odd to me.
I hate it.
Okay, so if just to point to one thing, Roman, here's one way to take pressure off the offensive line: just throw it to him quickly.
Yeah.
Like he should be such a high volume receiver in this offense as an outlet, and he just wasn't. And Keenan Allen ended up being kind of like a focal point, and he had a really bad drop in this game. So because he looked so good year one, and it felt like this year with shitty pass protection, and he took a step back. And I would say I put a lot of that on Roman. I mean, the passing game, watching it back, like the Pats were just all over everything they tried to do. I mean, that's why it's like Justin Herbert played really poorly, but on a lot of these guys were not open a lot, right? Or they were confusing them. So I don't know. I guess I'd spin it to final question before we move on. What do you want for her? Like, obviously, a healthy offensive line changes everything. Yeah. But in terms of play calling, is there anything you would want for him?
I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, I think the big thing hanging around over Herbert the whole time was like, can we get somebody that can stretch the field for him as a playmaker? And I guess that with that would come like an offensive coordinator who is going to design opportunities, assuming the tackles come back. And I guess it's kind of the opposite of what they needed to do in this game. But like, you got to make people pay. If you have a special quarterback who has a special arm, the offensive scheme that's going to allow you to put that on display is who I'd be looking at.
Probably going to have to replace the defensive coordinator as well. That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
He looks gone.
Yeah, he's going to get a job.
I mean, the defense has so much talent. Derwin James just
so good.
Ridiculous. He was great in this game. They traded for Odafe Owe. He's been really good. The pass rush looks good. I think Khalil Mack looks like he'll keep playing. He still plays at a high level. So, I do think they'll be back in it next year if the offensive line can stay healthy. But it's ultimately what undid them, right? And with Herbert, the thing I'll say is this. It felt like at the end, like the entire season of getting his butt kicked just caught up to him. And because he was just jumpy, right? Like the line was bad, but he was making it worse and not making the plays when they were available to him. And I'm watching him thinking, this guy's taking too many hits. And then he still got, he got folded in this game. Some of the most violent hits on a quarterback. The final Milton Williams one where he beats the set. Oh my God.
Was that the helmet in the stomach one?
I think so. Yeah. It's just like,
it's bad. I mean, Drake May got hit a bunch in this game too. It was a pretty violent game for the quarterbacks.
Defenses both played well. All right. Eagles, Niners, Eagles.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about first?
I mean, I feel like we have to. On our show, we did like a fall guy ranking. Like that's
good.
Yeah, that's
for the Eagles.
Yeah, we ended with Petula at 1, but I mean that's where the Eagles conversation has to go, I think.
Yes. Okay. I feel like sometimes when we NFL podcasters, dorks, talk about football, we've placed too much emphasis on scheme and coaching and not enough on player execution.
Uh-huh.
However, you will never see a greater coaching disparity in the NFL than watching this one back. In part, not because of just how bad the Eagles' offense looked, and I'm talking about the offenses only, of course, but because Kyle Shanahan put on a clinic, given the competition, the likes of which, I mean, legendary stuff from the guy we are obviously very high on. I'll get to the Niners side of it, but as far as the Eagles' offense and why they are bad, I'm kind of of two minds of this. One of which is you can't put all of it on Petullo because the players all failed. Right. There was a lot of execution problems from the offensive line, and this has been a problem all year, especially run blocking. You had players making drops. Jalen Hurts, I thought, fleeing the pocket at times, all of that.
Yeah.
But I would argue that those failures are magnified from an offense that's entirely based on talent. Whereas on the other side of the ball, yes, the players all executed great, but that offense doesn't need them to be perfect in every situation in the same way.
And the offense is designed around their versatility and the opportunities, which, like, there's no better illustration, as ridiculous as it is, than like Jawan Jennings throwing a touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey, who catches it, one of the more difficult catches of the weekend over his shoulders. It's like those are more extreme examples of like the uniqueness of the players. But that's one thing that always stands out to me about Kyle Shanahan is not that he doesn't want good players. Of course he wants good players, but he wants versatile players. Because, and you see Juszczyk, how he's used, like it's a bit redundant, and I think obviously something that you're aware of. What's this Juszczyk smile? Is that what that is?
No, it's just crazy that like he was not going to be on the team, right? There was like and I would argue next to McCaffrey, he's been their most impactful offensive skill player.
They lost Kittle, and some, for whatever reason, kept going after Quinyon with backup tight ends, which, like, I assume that's a Purdy thing. I can't imagine that Shanahan's like, we're still going to run that Kittle play no matter what, even though Kittle's out and Quinyon's guarding that position. But that aside, I think back to the point about the Eagles, this is what we expected, though. This is how we expected them to lose. Is like, they play outlandish playing, I promise. The third quarter stressed me out watching the Eagles because they just seemed like they were playing to punt. And this is what we were saying about them all season, which, like, I can't knock them because it's not like when they try to open offense up, they're better. But it's like all season, like, look, if you don't try to win every drive, sooner or later, the plays won't go your way and you'll lose.
It's the Niners defense.
Yeah.
Right. Like, okay, it's one thing to, like, let's say it's second and long and then you run a draw or whatever. They by the way. Yeah. So second, and first of all, they ran second down the highest rate of any team in the playoffs this weekend. On second and long, they had 7 runs. All right. So just if they were playing Houston, I would be like, you know what? Okay. Right. Like, I get it. Maybe you don't want to turn the ball over. You don't want to push it. You don't have matchups that you like. And you trust your defense and to make it a rock fight, sure. It's the Niners defense. Like, surrendering on series versus that defense was so pathetic to me. I know it's something they've been doing over the course of the season. I get it. But, like, how you have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. Find a matchup. Yeah. You trust do you not trust A.J. Brown against their, like, it was crazy. There's so many things that infuriated me watching them. Hurts just not running the football. 2 design carries outside of sneaks, one of which was called back, one of which was successful. Again, they ran out of linebackers, right? Like, this defensive like they've given up so many runs between the tackles all year long. Like, what? I didn't get it at all.
Yeah, I wish that I could explain it to you, but it didn't make sense to me either. It's just been an incredibly conservative, risk-averse offense that's, like, especially the few times they got a little aggressive when they fell behind, and then they got a lead. Then they were like, it's 3rd and 10. Let's throw a swing pass. Like, let's throw a check down. And it was funny because you're watching this game. It's like you saw that Purdy and this team that was not as good realized that they had to be aggressive. The man threw 2 interceptions. I think both of them were on his side of the field. And they're still in the game to no interceptions.
Because they kept shooting.
Yeah, and that's the point. Yeah. And it's not only because they kept shooting, it's because the Eagles wouldn't.
Yes.
They came away with no points on one of those drives, I think, or both of those drives maybe.
Right. You won the turnover battle. Congratulations. Hang the banner.
Yeah.
I dispute the idea that an offense with Jalen Hurts can't be significantly better with what we saw this year. Yeah. But you and I have talked about it. I think the offseason they really need to prioritize fixing the run game because I do think that needs to be part of his a successful offense with Jalen Hurts is one where we can run the football. That's not to say he's not capable of throwing, but then you create the kind of the opportunities he likes to throw to. So, I mean, the Eagles' defense. I think the Eagles' defense was good. Shanahan just found ways. He found matchups. He went after Blankenship, safeties. They made plays. I mean, also Demarcus Robinson opening the game, beating Quinyon Mitchell to me was like this matchup in a nutshell, where it's like they were just so outgunned, and it didn't matter. The Niners are like. In the Niners and the Eagles, you had friends growing up who had money but didn't look that good, and then you had friends who had no money but always had that on, they're just really good at putting stuff together, going to a thrift shop or stuff. That's how I felt watching this game. I was like, money can't buy taste. Apparently, that's how I felt watching the Eagles.
Well said.
All right, let's take a quick break. Come back and talk about the good games. All right, Domonique, the Bills dragged us, mostly you. On social, they put together a video. It was like a super cut of you. They found multiple clips of you. The thing about it is, they couldn't actually find clips of us really. Yeah. The only clips that they had were us just saying the Jags were good, not saying the Bills were bad or the Bills were going to get smoked. Sometimes I feel like these teams, when they're trying to find their disrespectful edits, they're kind of reaching, because it's nobody actually disrespected the Bills. Every single game discussion was this is going to be really close. Mm-hmm. And it was. Yeah. Sorry, I picked the Jags 28-27. I'm never going to pick a game again, Anyways, I think what's so remarkable about this game is that James Cook had a 33% success rate on the ground, and they still won.
Yeah, that was one of the things that you and I talked about. There's ways to win that we can imagine, and then the only way we could imagine that the Bills could win was if if James Cook had a good game. He didn't, and I thought the Jags defense played well. Yeah. The Jags offense also, they had some early issues, but they also seemed to be able to do what they wanted when they wanted to. So ultimately, they won, so they get to make the memes and roast us and have a good time, by all means. But I did walk away from that game feeling a whole lot different, about the teams. You won, it wasn't upset, right? Yeah. And it didn't seem at least to me, it didn't seem oh, my bad, you guys actually are much better than them. It was oh, you guys won a game that you probably shouldn't have won, which congratulations, and you deserve it, and dunk all you want. If you want an apology, you can have it. I'm sorry. Congratulations. You're awesome. But still, y'all watched that game.
It was close.
Yeah.
Josh Allen was basically perfect.
Yeah.
This was by far the best quarterback performance of the weekend to me.
Tush Push is going to die this offseason, right? That was the final straw.
The what, sorry?
That was the final straw.
The Tush Push. The Tush Push.
When they had to carry.
I was watching it and thinking, Carolina. Push your little guy along, he was great.
You can't do that. You of all people can't little guy him. You can't.
He was great. Okay. Eventually, by the way, I'll do a podcast obviously where I talk about we're going to talk about the Panthers. So, yeah. But I thought he was great in that game. As Bomani says, little homie doing his best. Okay, so back to Josh Allen. Yeah, they won because we'll get to the defensive side of it, because Trey White turn back the clock. This was a great turn back the clock game with Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks made a great. It wasn't even just Brandon Cooks is open. Brandon Cooks made a contested comeback. That was a great catch. But anyways, Josh Allen I thought was magnificent in this one. He was patient when he had to be patient. He got the ball out quick. It's a quick game. He was 16 for 17 for 175 yards. Perfect. And then when he had to make difficult, challenging plays under pressure, he did. All of his big plays. A guy leveled him. Mm-hmm.
Talk about quarterbacks getting beat up.
Yeah, without even getting to the running, the scrambling, but the Cooks ball, Devin Lloyd just cuts him in half. He's unblocked. I mentioned the whole shot to Coleman. Armstead's in his face. There's a throw to Shakir where Josh Hines Allen's 0.25 seconds from decapitating him. Like and it's just, you go back and you watch these throws, Dominique, and they're just like they're so difficult.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that jumps out. I'm not watching anything like they're really just like, given the especially with the pressure factor, it's amazing, and you just watch him and you see his arm talent and how accurate he's become throwing downfield. But anyways, TLDR, Josh Allen was basically flawless.
Yeah, I'm watching some of these plays again now as you talk about them, and I get that. I mean, it's what everyone said. It was like, if Josh Allen is perfect, then they can beat anybody. Can he be perfect for the rest of the way? That's the question.
Well, the flip side is, and I've always said this about the Bills, my issue with them is not Josh Allen. It's that I don't trust the run defense. And
nothing in this game should have changed that.
I still don't, but I have great news, Buffalo. There's no good run games left in the NFL, in the AFC, rather. We'll see. I mean, the Patriots and the Broncos, Texans, I mean, they've been running the ball okay, but there's no dominant run games. I thought it was a really interesting game to watch. The Bills' defense, I thought, was you showed a lot of the things you've seen all year long in terms of like the creativity. They really do a lot of crazy stuff. Yeah. I feel like we don't really talk about that enough, how unique they are with some of their disguise.
Yeah, I think that's the right point, because you said they do a lot of crazy stuff, but I mean, from a disguise standpoint, I mean, and they are really good against the pass, like, and that's I think where disguises would have a tremendous amount of value. But yeah, they're doing it because they have to. Like we started the show with the Texans, and it's like, nobody's doing anything for fun. Like, if they had that defense, they would. I mean, because the Bills historically have been like, we do what we do. You're gonna get a bunch of cover three. We'll mix in a little more man if we are healthy enough to do so. But this week, nah.
I thought it was an excellent game plan. I always feel like people are too hard on Sean McDermott. Also, like, all these Josh Allen, it was so funny because I was watching this thinking back to our discussion about Josh Allen and how you and I agreed, like, the is he under pressure discussion was silly. But I'm watching this thinking, like, if this Bills defense chokes us away, we're going to do it, right? Yeah. And then Trey White said, nope, I'm going to make
first play.
He was so good in this game. It wasn't even just like that, one or two. He had multiple pass breakups, but the one where he was the cover 3 one, I forgot who. It was Brenton Strange, saved a touchdown. And he was good in coverage all day long, and I just feel like they're just a tough matchup because of what they. So the flip side of it, let's talk about the Jags for a second. Trevor was pretty skittish early on. They were able to, especially as the game went on, move the ball through the air. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to push too hard on the run thing, but I was confused why they didn't run the ball more, given how much of they had like a 71% success rate on the ground.
Can I throw out a theory?
Okay.
It happens often, I feel like, especially for like offensive-minded coaches, and it's probably exacerbated by being a first-year head coach. And this isn't like some deep analytical theory. It's like, I brought it, I want to use it. And like, you're an offensive guy that schemed up all these great offensive plays. And again, the offensive plays are working. They're open people that they don't get into because the ball gets batted down, despite the fact that your quarterback is 6'6", and those players are getting batted down and the plays are working. I get why you want to keep doing it, but like, it's a hindsight thing. But oftentimes there has to be somebody that's just there for young coaches and offensive-minded coaches. And maybe there should be somebody there for defensive-minded coaches to say, get aggressive. But there's got to be somebody for the offensive-minded coach to say, hey, hand that shit off. Hand that shit off, especially when you come into this game knowing they suck at stopping the run, and they demonstrate that they still suck at stopping the run. Like, make me stop toting that thing.
And also, like, you felt like the Bills the Bills defense part, like they weren't afraid of play action because they, I there was a sequence where it was in the second half. No, it wasn't. When they were down 13-7, maybe. ETN broke off like a 26-yard run, and they got into like Bills field goal territory, and then they went gun pass, Trevor draw from empty, and then another gun pass. I'm watching, thinking like, what? You got him, man. ETN and Tootin were destroying them on the ground. Yeah, look. I'm not going to tell Liam Cohen that he should keep his head up.
But he should. He should, though.
Damn it, I screwed it up. For those who are not terminally online, a Jags beat reporter went viral this week. Beat reporter? I don't even know. For telling Liam it was like a nice lady that he did a good job, and it became ground zero for...
It's ridiculous. Of the ridiculous things, like sometimes we look back and say that was a ridiculous thing to that one as it's happening. Like this is becoming a thing that needs to be discussed.
I knew it was going to be a thing though because people hate the media, and so when the media started criticizing her, my take was just this is not a thing. Not everything needs to be opined on.
Yeah, I
don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't care. All right, look, obviously for the Jags, felt like a bit of a house money season. You and I thought they were a complete team. And I will say this, I think you saw some of the weaknesses exposed, particularly the pass defense. We talked about losing Jordan Lewis. The good thing is they have an elite cornerback who's in the building who didn't play enough cornerback.
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm watching that game thinking, Travis Hunter, cornerback 1. Let's just do this next year. Yeah. We don't need, come on.
I mean, I think they made decisions during the season that suggested that they came to that realization also.
Yeah.
So
he's a great corner. We'll be, of course, talking about the Jags in more detail in their offseason. But Jags fans, arrow up. Exciting time. Okay, Packers-Bears.
Woo! That's all. Caleb is so fun. This game is so dumb. It's so much stuff to talk about. Everyone should be fired, and Caleb is amazing.
I have come to the conclusion that I really don't think Matt LaFleur should have been fired or should be fired. It seems like he's not going to get fired. It does seem like, however, there's some kind of maybe contractual issues between them, like what he wants. So we'll see. Going back and watching the Packers offense in the second half, Domonique, I think I came away with a different conclusion from how I felt in the moment. In the moment, I was watching them thinking, why are they running the ball? And then going back, they really didn't run they were pretty aware that they couldn't run the ball. They just got sorry, I'm trying to cuss less. They just got destroyed in the trenches. That was what overwhelming. Like watching them back, I thought like, oh my God, the offensive line injuries against what had been a bad Bears pass rush are really showing up. That's how you get the intentional groundings, right? Like one of them, I don't know what Rasheed Walker was doing. This guy's just going right. I do think the second to last drive, the 4-minute mark drive, LaFleur was overly aggressive in terms of throwing the ball downfield. And then obviously the clock management was abysmal from the timeout into the delay of game, then having to call a timeout when there's not enough men on defense. All of that is significant. But after taking some time and like rewatching it, my biggest takeaway was like, oh, they were just really injured.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, so I agree with you about my takeaway was Matt LaFleur has demonstrated himself to be the type of guy that other people want. Like he is the kind of the model of what everyone's looking for. Like he revived the end of Aaron Rodgers' career, which like maybe that wasn't him at all, but he was there and Aaron Rodgers was struggling and all of a sudden he wins 2 MVPs. He ushers in the transition to Jordan Love, who I thought was incredible in this game.
So good in this game.
It's
so
been really
good.
Right. And like Matt LaFleur is responsible for that. It feels like the things that you want to fix with Matt LaFleur are things that can easily be kind of addressed or coached around or compensated for on the staff because you have what feels like the brass ring when it comes to hiring a coach
Yeah,
is
the play caller.
a
Yeah.
play caller who is also on the same page with your quarterback. So like all this other stuff, we can get to it, we can figure it out, we can address it. We can is that the Broncos who hired Jerry Rossberg because they needed
The game management. I know. I was thinking that as well,
Yeah.
Dominic. I was thinking like, okay, so they obviously got to deal with special teams. But like, you got a play
Jerry
caller
though.
who, even with all the injuries this year,
I think
they were
Jerry's
like,
daughter was on the Ravens staff. Maybe she can come over and help manage games in the blood.
this offense finished like 4th in EPA per play and 6th in DVOA, despite like not having their quarterback and losing their best skill player early and like offensive line. Like you can't, you're not going to get that again. You're just not. You know, he's not perfect, but I just think it would be a mistake to, like you said, you're giving up the thing that everybody wants, which is stability at play caller. He's good at it. But it was an epic choke job. On the other side of that, we're going to get to Caleb, but I do want to talk about the Bears defense, though. That was the other thing, I think, that kind of, like, they played really well in the second half. And, I mean, mea culpa, because everyone knows I've been such a critic and doubter when it comes to the Bears D. But I thought there was some really good individual plays. Grady Jarrett, I thought, was excellent. Tremaine Edmonds made plays, Jalen Johnson, etc. Montez Sweat. And then I thought Dennis Allen did some smart things. Like, what caught your eye?
Well, I thought what they did with the edge of the defense, because they kept losing the edge of the defense in the first half. And then it was clear that, to me at least, the first half, the Packers were touchdown, 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 missed field goal. They didn't really get stopped. So they went into the locker room and said, let's keep doing that. The Bears went into the locker room and was like, touchdown, 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 missed field goal. We stink. What's killing us? We can't hold on to the edge. Let's blitz off the edge. Let's be more aggressive about taking away the edge of this defense and force them to go up into the middle if they're going to run the ball. And so that seemed like the biggest adjustment to keep them in long yardage situations.
Blitzing, I feel like also they played the variance game a little bit when it came to press, and they got burned a few times, but they were able to create some negative plays.
Yep.
The other thing that caught my eye is when they didn't blitz, they played man coverage like most of the time, and I would not have thought that would have worked, but that's how you get like the Jalen Johnson PBU, right? There were a few, I think Edmonds on Musgrave in the end zone, and that was a big tendency switch from the last time they played. Because the 2 times that they faced Jordan Love during the regular season, they would play almost exclusively zone, and then they would play man when they blitzed. And in this game, they played way more man without blitzing, and it seemed to take the Packers almost by surprise a little bit. So, Dennis Allen, I just, to your point, though, I think the key is just that he made adjustments and tried stuff, right? Like that's, you're outmanned. On the other side, I mean, it was a pretty prototypical Caleb Williams in that, like, there's the efficiency wasn't quite there, but the incredible plays were some of the most incredible you'll ever see. I mean, the throw. Is that the best throw in Bears history?
It's got to be. I mean, he has the top 5. I guess this one is vaulted to the top because of the situation, but like it wasn't as good of a throw to me as the one to beat the Packers before. But I guess it was better. I don't know. It's definitely one of the best ever, and he does it so routinely. It feels like makes those throws without somehow being able to consistently make the routine throws.
Yeah, I will say, so Colston Loveland is their receiver 1 now, right? And it was like, they kept hitting that corner route over and over and killed him with it. But like they got to it a bunch of different ways, which I thought was like, you can tell Ben Johnson is calling the game around Loveland now, right? Like he is the focal point of the offense. Like DJ Moore is just clearing out the corner for Loveland. Or they would put him in line. They would put him in the slot. They line him up outside. He'd be like one of them. He was outside on the I think it was the flood concept where they sent all three. He was like outside on the bunch. But the thing that also struck my eye is Caleb's ball placement was perfect on all of those.
Yeah, I'm watching all these out-breaking corners now, and yeah, you're right. He's putting it on the money, and the way he's getting to the same concept, which is probably pretty nice for Caleb as a quarterback because the defense is not really aware. But he's like, I think about this as the same play that I just did last time.
He's a real matchup problem for everyone. Thinking about that, right? Like, it's like how, we talked about Kelsey. I mean, there's differences between the players. He's not, but when you talk about this team, it's the first thing you're talking about now. Like, I mean, in terms of like your defense and who you're game planning for.
It probably made Matt LaFleur miss Tucker Kraft so much more as he's watching Loveland be unguardable. It's like, we had one of them. What's happening? Mouth agape. Are you okay?
Mike Tomlin.
Oh.
Just told the team he is stepping down.
Woo!
19 seasons.
Him and John Harbaugh got to go have dinner together or something.
Switch jobs? The prophecy is complete?
That would be hilarious.
Kind of so. He'll never do it. But that would be, like, that's the kind of situation he should, because go back to what you're talking about. He's not going to happen, so we shouldn't spend too much time on this. But, like, with Mike Tomlin, you and I, earlier when we were talking about him and whether they would move on, we both expressed questions about him with a young quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, ideally, he would be with a team that has a quarterback.
I mean, the Ravens got a call, right? They got a call. Like, when Harbaugh got fired, Charlie asked me if I thought that Harbaugh would be a fit with the Steelers. I thought, absolutely not. That doesn't make any sense. Tomlin to the Ravens. I mean, and because the fans have hated him, it felt like, for the last so many years, like, that would be hilarious and incredible.
I really wouldn't do it, right?
I mean, probably not. Who do you think wouldn't do it? You think that the Ravens wouldn't do it, or you think Tomlin wouldn't do it?
Tomlin. I think the Ravens would do it.
You think that it's that Pittsburgh stuff is in his blood enough that he's like, nah, I would never coach the Ravens?
Well, especially since he stepped down. He wasn't fired. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like...
That's a good point.
It just doesn't seem like it ended acrimoniously. A few weeks ago, we were like, oh, man, who are they going to have to go to, like, a, college defensive coordinator? John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin are available in this. And Kevin Stefanski was student coach of the year. Like, this is a crazy coaching cycle.
How pissed is John Harbaugh? He just went from being the hottest dude at the party.
Yeah.
Like, now Tomlin strutted up in that thing, taking some of the eyes. Ugh.
As a 7, there's nothing worse than when a 9 walks in. Actually, that's not fair to John Harbaugh. He's not a 7. They're both like
okay. We're assuming that Tomlin is stepping down because he's not going to coach, right? Or is that
I don't know?
He might be stepping down because the Steelers also were like, "Hey, we want to move on." Because like you don't step down and go to another team like if it's his doing.
Yeah, it's all going to come out. So we'll. Now the Pittsburgh job is open too. Okay, so if I'm Pittsburgh, what I want is I'd love an offensive guy.
Yeah.
Mike McDaniel in Pittsburgh would be so funny.
Hilarious. That's like the opposite of what he was in Miami. Yeah, Steel City.
But am I wrong for feeling that way? I feel like I don't care how old or whatever, but I just feel like you want a play caller.
Yeah.
For Tomlin, okay, so let's throw out Baltimore. Of these jobs, which do you think is most likely? Arizona, Atlanta, Cleveland, Vegas, Miami, New York, Tennessee.
I don't know. I mean, I could see him. There are places I can't. Like, I can't see Arizona happening. I mean, Miami, he has carte blanche if he wants to do whatever down there. Like, that could happen. New York Giants. Joe Shane's still there, so I would doubt that unless you're talking Jets. I mean,
Yeah.
they love defensive-minded coach up there, so.
Could see Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta, yeah, that seems, but
all right,
still have the quarterback issue, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's make some predictions. Let's say if the Giants go Stefanski, Miami goes Harbaugh, Atlanta goes Tomlin, Tennessee, McDaniel, Baltimore, Minter. That's it for now. Those are my predictions for now. Stefanski, I have to the Giants. I feel
Okay,
like
right.
Yeah,
that sounds
okay.
good.
Those are my predictions for now. We'll see. Holy mackerel! What a crazy day. Okay, the games. Anyways, Loveland, Caleb, awesome. I think Loveland will give that Rams defense trouble. By the way,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
keep an eye on. Okay, speaking of the Rams, we wrap with Rams-Panthers, which ended up being an awesome game. So, first of all, it's Carolina Panthers. I will do the Jags report thing and say you should be proud of yourself.
You should be. You should be. You backed into
You
the
really
playoffs
should, yeah.
and gave everybody's favorite a hard time. Should have won.
Yeah, I thought Bryce Young was so impressive in this game,
good.
man. He made so many good throws and third downs, and like I thought it's kind of funny because going into this we were like, all right, the Rams are way better than the Panthers, but the Panthers have an edge at their wide receivers versus the Rams DBs, and that really proved to be true. I mean, they went after Lake, who had come back from injury a lot. Kobe Durant had an all-time DB moment where he basically shoved a guy out of an end zone. It was like,
Yeah, never. I mean,
but they went after him a lot too. McMillan and Coker. Coker was, I mean, that's your future, and and I think you still need like a tight end, and but obviously I don't think they're going to extend Bryce Young, but I think you come out of that feeling really good about the fifth-year option.
Yeah, it feels a lot better. I mean, it's funny how those games just change. Their off season feels a lot better than I thought it was going to feel as they backed into the playoffs and thought they were going to get their doors blown off a little bit by the Rams, and we'd look at an off season with a lot of big questions like who we bringing in to do this and who's going to compete and what's our future plan. Is Canales on the hot seat? Like all that stuff feels like it's gone away a little bit, where it's like, all right, we'll see. Maybe it'll come back pretty quickly, but it's a little bit more optimistic for that unit.
Still need to add to pass rush, but it's nice that you're good at receiver and the line's trending in the right direction, and so it's a good way to end with like feelings of like this is manageable, right? We're gonna address some of our issues next year. I did come out of this feeling more concerned about the Rams defense, I think. Yeah. And this has been now a multi-week trend where they sort of come back to earth, but I thought you saw some real weaknesses that teams can attack. On the flip side, I thought it was a weird game plan from Sean until so the other thing, we didn't say that the Panthers corners were a matchup advantage because the Rams have Puka and Devontae, right. But throwing outside the numbers at them is not what
especially when you're a team that
can do everything else so well.
That was the shocking thing that they decided to keep going at Mike Jackson in that way. It just
Mike Jackson.
It's fault.
quietly like one of the 5 best players of Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah. I mean, he
Not
had an
quietly.
awesome season, too, yeah.
Awesome season. Yeah, it took them. I feel like there was some like the middle of the field was so obviously the place to attack against this. I was surprised they didn't use the tight ends more. I don't know. I was wondering if it was just kind of like, oh, we got Puka and Devontae back, and or Devontae back. Puka's been here, but yeah. I mean, Nakua was, excellent as always in this. Stafford was kind of an odd one because he was kind of up and down, and then he hurt his finger. But then at the very end of the game, when it mattered most, he looked like Matthew Stafford. I think I come out of this feeling better about the Panthers and enthusiastic, and a little worse about the Rams.
Yeah. Mike Jackson squatted on that. That interception he got was ridiculous, and Stafford threw it right. Right. I mean, you got to come off of that, I would assume. But anyway, I think, we want to make the Rams into, I think I speak for myself. I want to make the Rams into a front runner, like a team that separated themselves, and they really haven't. And so, I think this game was a reminder that there is nobody that separated themselves in any meaningful way this season. I tried to make an argument that the Jags were that team. They obviously are not that team either. So it's a real bad situation right now. So they got off to such a hot start, and I mean, I guess I just expect their front to do better defensively, to dominate a little bit more defensively with Verse and Young, but
got a tough matchup with the Bears offense. That one could get a little. I just think that, obviously I'll preview it in depth. The Rams offense versus the Bears defense. I know we said the Bears defense did some heroic things, but it was a different animal. However, again, great. I'm not trying to sound patronizing here. I was legitimately impressed by the Panthers in this game. I love the resilience too, right? Because that first drive, we're like, well, go do some chores. I might get in a run, watch Heated Rivalry episode 2. And then Bryce said, nah. Also, Rams special teams. Actually, I'm done talking about special teams. I'm never doing it again. Did you see I posted a clip? I was like, the Jags kicker is a huge advantage over Buffalo. One of the wrongest takes I've... And then after that, I said, you know what? I'm done. Kickers are dead to me. I'm not even going to talk about it. I don't...
Yeah, well, I mean, the Rams special teams has been an ongoing issue that almost cost them in this game, too. So I think you don't have to talk about specific things, but you can say their special teams might find a way to mess up.
They were showing their kicker, Mevis, on the sideline practicing. And Nick, who, of course, listeners know, my husband does not watch football. He walked by, because it was like, 2:30 or something. Our kid was napping. He looked at the TV and said, that seems wrong, and then kept walking.
Big leave.
I was like, it is not the norm, Nick. All right, Drew. Okay, sorry. Anyways, that's it for this week. Wild Card Weekend. It was a great one for the most part. I like this. I like the divisional matchups. I like how this shook out. I'm excited for all of them. I think. I was kind of hoping we'd get Bills-Pats. I like the rematches, but maybe we will in the championship. We'll see. Maybe. But overall, Josh Allen versus the Broncos defense. Come on.
That's fun.
Yeah, that'll be a really good one. All right. Thank you, Domonique. I will also, divisional preview with Bill Barnwell is coming out later this week, and then I will be joining Domonique's show from home. Wow!